What's up, my sleepers? I'm gonna just quickly cover the 1.1.10 Dune highlight patch for you. The first thing we're gonna cover is the repair exploit, and that has been patched. So hopefully we're gonna test it out and ensure that it is patched. That way we can give a thumbs up there. And then the exploit where players could duplicate resources. I believe they are referring to one of the really big duplication bugs that were out there that people were abusing. I made a video on that, shedding some light on it and why it was a problem, and I believe our reports went through and it helped us get a solution in a timely manner. So great job, everyone, for your reports on that, and it looks like we did really good there. Just a quick update for you guys here. I'm seeing a lot of people say that the glitch is patched and they're not able to do that. I was able to test it and I didn't see that I was able to duplicate anything. Some people have said that it's still around, though for the most part, from what I've tested and from what some other people have said, it looks like it's gone. So if you guys would like to let me know if it's still around or something, that'd be great. Also, I wanted to thank all of you guys for helping me hit a milestone of 100 subscribers. That was really awesome, and you guys are the best for that. The streamer mode was having some problems, but now the map creator name will hide it for the sync charts, as well as the sector names in the deep desert will be hidden. This is for people who actively stream the game. The exchange items are now going to be listed from the claim vehicles inventory of your ornithopter. This has to do with the market and Arakeen and Harko, so you'll be able to better exchange between those while you're in the marketplace. They have closed several vulnerabilities that could lead to increased combat damage. This has to do with some of the weird scalability damage issues where people were just straight up getting one shot by stuff that didn't make any sense. So that is another problem we were seeing in the deep desert a lot. The main menu play button in the menu screen now has been filtered out to hide the private servers, so you don't have to see that. The dev team also has made some comments because some people were wondering if there were going to be rollbacks due to all this duplication. The devs are not doing rollbacks. They stated this in the Discord server, but they do plan on banning and potentially wiping people who were abusing this duplication glitch. So if you see people out there who were abusing it, make sure to report them. There is another problem going on that this patch has caused, which for a lot of people, it is this infinite loading glitch. There's a lot of speculation as to what specifically caused this. We got some responses from the dev team, actually, and they said they are working on a fix for it, and they will try to push it out as soon as they can. Also, for some people who have been having issues where they'll join the server and items are missing from their inventory, or their thopter, or their storage containers, that is another problem that has been persistent in this most recent hotfix/patch, and the devs have stated that they are working on a fix for it and that they appreciate everyone's concern in researching into this. If this video has helped you out so far and you want to show me some support, I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe. Save you some time. Up ahead, I cover some of the other patch notes. They're not as important as what I just recently covered to you. So if you do want to go do something else, click off the video, whatever. I'm just letting you know so you don't have to waste your time on the rest of it. If you do want to listen to the other parts of the patch notes, then just continue listening. And yeah, thank you. They have also fixed a problem with the Corollia Storm killing you while you're offline. So now it'll just move you back to the Haga Basin instead, so you don't have to respawn in the deep desert and then get stuck there. So this is a really big help for people who are maybe offline in the deep desert when the storm hit. Now for resources, building, and crafting. These are stuff from the vendors, so stuff that the vendors are selling. They have swapped some of that around, so some of the decorations that are specific to your faction have been moved. There was a problem with the little loot boxes that would be dropped when you would pick up a corpse. Those would be invisible when you would pick up the corpse of the dead enemy, so I believe they've addressed that and patched it here, as they said. They have added 3 unique weapon schematics to Asmara Ifindi. I hope I said that right. Which I don't know what that is, to be honest. I assume it's a weapon, obviously, but we'll end up seeing that probably here soon in the deep desert. The vehicle backup tool and the replicator can now be crafted in the survival fabricator, which is a bit of a nice change. The armor in the main menu will now use the correct armor skins that you have applied on your character. So if you had the Mendic skin, but you were wearing a different type of heavy armor, such as the Chome heavy armor, it would display the Chome rather than the skin you had equipped. The added range info to the welding torch, which I kind of find that interesting. I don't know what that'll do. And they removed a scanner module schematic. It's not an actual item anymore in the game, so they didn't want people to get a reward that isn't really a reward and more so just like a paperweight. And they've also done some changes to combat here. The visual improvements to buff and debuff icons for legibility. So some of the stuff was kind of blending in with the screen and it didn't look too great, so I believe they've addressed that here. They've changed some of the Sentinel action text from detonate to deploy, as when you see detonate and you're actually just deploying it, it doesn't make much sense. They've added range information on the Weirding Steps info card, which is kind of useful if you wanted to understand the range of that. Duration information to the Suspensor Pads info card. So it'll better give us an idea for some of the Suspensor Pad information. They added some VFX to create and indicate a way sword parrying staggers multiple targets. So that's kind of with your overhead block there. When you block someone swinging in on you, we'll now get a new animation with that. Or we'll get some new effects. They've updated dagger slow blade animations when you are trying to stab through a shield and sometimes it wouldn't properly go off. So that is a good thing they have addressed. They have nerfed undersling weapons, which is kind of unfortunate because a lot of them aren't that great, to be honest. A lot of the those heavy weapons, like the Vulcan, for instance, and the flamethrower, just aren't good. They're not. They're pretty garbage, and you can make the argument that they're used for suppressive fire, but there's just better things that can be used for suppressive fire. There's no real good point to use them at all in the current state of the game. So nerfing them in for the passenger seat is certainly a sad thing to see. They've added some new VFX for the indicator for the way sword parrying staggers when it staggers multiple targets. And they have closed several vulnerabilities that could lead to increased combat damage, which some of the things that we've been seeing in the deep desert where people were getting one shot. I assume this is one of those vulnerabilities that it will be addressing. And if not, I'll be kind of sad. They have changed Suspensor Dash, so to now use 20% of your maximum power instead of a flat 75. So it is more of a buff for early game usage while being a colossal nerf on late game movement tech that you've been using. As if you have a Suspensor pack that has 800, for instance, you have the Plastanium pack, you will be losing effectively 160 power instead of just 75. So that's sad to see. They reduced poison damage for the Thrive on Danger from 34 to 50 to avoid scenarios where poison resist would go over 100% when combined with other effects. It is also no longer possible to jump while under the effects of Crippling Strike. This will make those deep desert ground PvP instances a little bit more melee favored, as a lot of people were trying to get away. Already, the deep desert, a lot of the combat that is on the ground is fairly melee favored, as a lot of the weapons do all right, but melee weapons will stagger and remove stam. They have updated the description for the center of mass and marksman techniques to indicate that body damage also affects damage to shields. So they have buffed ranged weapons, which is nice to see, as a lot of them have been fairly underperforming due to the high capacity shields that people have due to their power packs. And we have seen performing melee attacks within gravity fields will now cause the player to play exhausted animations as they strain under increased gravity. So this is to buff the gravity fields, as there were some people who found some niche purpose for it, but overall, out of like all the abilities you could use, it wasn't that great, to be honest. And so this is a good buff for that pack to see, or that field to see. They have updated the ranged damage passive ability, which now increase the damage of all ranged weapons, not just darts. So this will now be affecting your rocket launcher, your las gun, which are two main non-dart weapons that people seem to be using out in the deep desert. It'll be great now. You'll get that little bit of extra damage against vehicles. I think it's, was it 369 damage, if I'm not mistaken? So that'll be nice to see. And they have they've changed the description to better explain how Poison Tooth works when you use it. They've tweaked the buggy turret camera to improve its overall visibility while operating. I hope that they also tweak the cutter for it, as it shoots surprisingly not low, whereas the cutter points down further than the laser can actually go. They have done some tweaks to the camera when boosting with a vehicle, as sometimes it would display the zoom out without you actually boosting. They've improved interactions with vehicles, so it should be easier now to enter them from different angles. Sometimes it wouldn't give you the indicator for you to board your vehicle, and in some moments that might be life or death scenario. They've improved ground vehicle behavior when it's flipped or kicked over by the sandstorm. I believe this is addressing the vehicle buggy tornado problem that people were experiencing. Scout ornithopter thrusters have seen an increase in speed when using vulture mode. Players opting to forego the inventory module in favor of boost thrusters will now actually get their speed advantage they've wanted. So that is a nice convenience to see, giving the boosters a bonus that they did need. They have changed the anti-gravity field, which now will allow you to move rather than just kind of get stuck in like a floating state where you can't move at all. This was mainly a problem for a lot of people early game when they would be near one of the enemies that did the anti-grav field and threw that nade. Rusher NPC animations cancel out of their melee attack finishers when the target moves out of melee range. That way they don't get stuck in it, and it makes them a little bit more difficult to kill. The sandworms are going to be staying even longer in the spice fields than what we've previously seen. So they're making it more difficult to grab that spice out in the desert, so they're more likely to quickly react when you are trying to refarm after de-aggroing and going back in to gather more spice. They've improved collisions of the room of the Proteus, where you first encounter your shielded enemies. And so I think one of the main collision points they're discussing is there are certain areas where you can't shoot through, as there's an invisible mesh there, so your darts will collide with it, so they've done some better mesh detections. So that seems like a good change. They are also removing the respawn beacon upon your account being deleted or your character being deleted. And this is because there was a lot of, especially in the early areas, you'll see a lot of these respawn beacons plaguing the entry points of certain key interest areas, and it just doesn't look good. So that's a nice small quality of life to see. They have adjusted some of the story and journey experience, especially for new players, and this is aimed to improve the auto tracking to address some edge cases in your system where it didn't properly tell you what to do next. There were a couple more changes, but they weren't really too noteworthy to read over in the video. So if you appreciate all that I've done here, as I appreciate your viewership and remaining in the video this long, I'd really love it if you could like and subscribe, and thank you all so much for watching.